Hey there, I'm Colin with ModGolf. Thanks for joining us. So I just finished up a ModGolf podcast episode with the one and only Tom Coyne. You know, Tom, an amazing writer, and we talked about most of his books, all but one that we're going to talk about here. The one we focused on is this one here. And I've got a story of how this ended up in my hands and introduced me to Tom only 5 months ago. But we're going to talk about a few other things here in the short time I have Tom, as far as his business, his entrepreneurial journey, and the last book that he's written. We're going to talk about that. But to get started here, why don't we bring him on, Mr. Tom Coyne? Thanks for joining me again.
Thank you for having me back. Good to be back.
Absolutely. Okay, Tom. So to get us started here, like I said, we went and took a deep dive in a course called Ireland. We did talk about your other two books before that, and we talked about a course called Scotland. So why don't we pick up where we left off here? What then inspired you to rent an RV and travel across the America, north, south? I guess you didn't take the RV. Maybe you took it to Alaska. I know you didn't take it to Hawaii. You had to get on a plane. So you've already done this twice, this experience. Are you a complete masochist? What gave you the energy and the inspiration to give it a go in your home country?
Yeah, it was really planes, trains, and automobiles, rental cars, my car, whatever it would take me around to see golf in America, and it grew out of me generally realizing I knew more about golf in Scotland and Ireland than I did in my own country. I'd played a lot around Philadelphia, obviously, but there's so much great golf in America that and I'd become sort of a links snob where it was like, oh, golf over there is better than here, and links golf is the truest expression of the game, etc. I might still believe those things, but there's so much, the plethora of golf from seaside to mountaintop to ocean golf to desert golf. I mean, there's just such a great variety of golf in America. But as with the other books, it was like, okay, what's the story behind the golf? What am I actually really looking for? In Ireland, I'm trying to discover a country. In Scotland, I'm trying to find the secret to golf. And in America, it was, it was, when did I do the book? Right before COVID. So, it was an interesting time in our country, and it's remained interesting. But rather than sit on the couch and decide I know what people in Colorado think, or in California are like, or what people in Mississippi are like, I have no idea. I haven't met them. I would like to go out and figure it out. I would like to know what, America is really like at this moment. And the way that I do that is through golf. So, so that's why I went out and decided to go play golf in all 50 states, play every US Open course, every course to ever host an Open, because I figured that would sort of walk me through the history of American golf, which it did. It allowed me to sort of walk in the footsteps of really amateur or pro, anyone who's really all the folks who've contributed to American golf story. But it allowed me to sort of meet people on, we talk about the division in our country and all those things, but it allowed me to meet people on this sort of space of universal accord, which is generally, at least in my experience, has been a first tee. So that's why I wanted to do it, and gave me the energy and the passion. Whereas, like, I have to do this, which is the point you have to get at before you endeavor to do something like that. Because it was 8 months and 300 courses, and it was quite an undertaking.
Now, what would you say for a course called America? What was the hook where you talked about with a course called Ireland? The hook was you pitched, I'm going to walk the entire island of Ireland here, 1,100 miles plus, I believe it was, and then was a course called Scotland. You had mentioned the fact it was part of your journey. You were fusing together with your book, Paper Tiger, that it was you, then this journey of trying to qualify for the Open Championship. So what would you define as the hook that you then pitched to your publishers that allowed you to then rent the RV and head on the road?
Yeah, well, the good thing was, after doing Ireland and Scotland, and thankfully those books having some success, the hooks don't have to be quite as obvious.
You've earned it. Yep, fair.
So I was like, all right, I'm going to go do this in America, and that's what I went out to do. But for me, the idea, like, it was really about I want to get to know the people of my country that has so many sort of little countries within it, and find our similarities and differences, and just sort of get to know and get a sense of like what America means. And the hook, I guess, was, the book's called The Search for the Great American Golf Course. And so that was the thing that I was really keeping my eyes out for, like, of all these courses I'm going to play, what's the great American golf course? Because that meant I had to answer two questions. I had to answer what makes a golf course great, which for golf readers is an interesting debatable topic, like what is the greatest number one course, and then what makes a golf course uniquely or distinctly American? Like, what does that word mean in 2019, 2018? So like those were two ambitious sort of ideas to kick around and to pursue. So that was the sort of like, all right, I'm going to go figure out, I'm going to go play all this golf and play everywhere. And I'm going to tell you what really is the greatest American golf course.
Okay. Only have a couple of minutes with you here. So can you distill down in that book one story that maybe something unexpected that really surprised you? I'm sure there were many of them, but something that also connected with the people. Maybe you have preconceived notions of a certain area and the people that live there that completely changed your mindset and puts a smile on your face.
There's so many, and and that was the best part of the trip, was now, which is different than the other books, where there was more like social media involved and people could kind of follow where I was going and knew where I was. And so that was a really fun element of doing this, is that people would show up. I could put on Twitter or whatever, like, I'm going to be in South Dakota tomorrow at this course, and I have no one to play with. Anyone want to join me? And people would show up. And that was wild and flattering and humbling and awesome, because that's really how I got to connect and know people. And, in South Dakota, a young man joined me who was transferring from one Air Force base to another, and was the nicest guy. And halfway through the round, I learned that his job is, he's like, I'm a missileer. I'm like, I don't know what that is. He's like, well, I'm a nuclear launch officer. Wow. I was like, oh, okay. So you turn the key, and which put me on high alert for because if he started throwing clubs or acting outrageously, I was going to have to call someone about this man who was unqualified to launch our nuclear arsenal. But he ended up being the nicest, most level-headed young man, and I met his family, and that was like emotionally overwhelming, that like they went out of their way, like with his little kids, like to come play some golf with me, and that just kept happening. And so I was left with like incredibly positive feelings that, yes, our mob mentality, or when we get into a group and shout at each other, that isn't showing our best side. But when we spend some time together or one-on-one, you find common ground, you find friendship, and you find that you are alike in all these wonderful ways. So it was really good for my soul.
Love this. Okay, so we've gone through all 5 of the books that you've written so far.
Yeah.
Now, yourself as an entrepreneur, I'll just bring this up here. So with Coyne Golf.
Yeah.
So tell us a bit about what you've created here. I believe your wife is your partner on the business here. So about the experiences that you've created here around golf trips. Like, what was your why? I always talk with startups and entrepreneurs and founders, is like, what's your why? What's your purpose? So why did you decide to do this and continue to expand with what you're doing with Coyne Golf?
Yeah, the why was really being able to put what I'd learned, in the Ireland and Scotland books, being able to put them to use, right? Like being able to put the knowledge of finding these undiscovered courses and wanting to share them with other people. And I'd become a resource for a lot of folks in terms of like where to go and where to play. And it's like, all right, well, why don't I put that beyond just writing about it? Let's actually give people the chance to do the same things that I did. So that's been really, really fun to work with people on designing their dream golf trips, even if they don't last for 4 or 8 months or some ridiculous stuff that I've been prone to do. So that's been great. And Allison really loves that. And and every year, we host the Coyne Cup, which was not my idea. I did not name a trophy after myself, but, another tour operator originally at Old Sod Travel, our friends there, before Coyne Golf even existed, started this Coyne Cup, where friends and readers could come on a trip with me to we go back and forth between Ireland and Scotland every year.
Right.
And at this point, we played a lot of them. It's year 9, and we're headed to the southwest of Ireland, where we've been before, but there's so much great golf. You can't help but go back, and we play 4 days of Ryder Cup competition and just have an absolute blast. We draft teams the first night and then go out and have fun. So that's become a little community in itself. It's become really great.
Nice. So I was still thinking that maybe the Coyne Cup was a completely self-indulgent thing, because I did look on the website and see of the 8 played so far, that Team Coyne has won 6 of them. So it's like, come on, are you stacking the teams there? You got are you hiring a bunch of ringers? Like, what's going on here? That's 6 out of 8 seems a bit fishy there, Tom.
I think it's just well, what can you say? I mean, it's nice to win your own cup, Colin. No, it's a pretty random draw, and we've just come out. We've been fortunate the last couple of years, so it's nice. We give the cup every year to the winning team's MVP to keep for the year. It's beautiful, handmade in Belfast cup. So that's been really, really fun. But maybe this is the year that the Team Coyne goes down. That would be fine. I wouldn't mind spreading the love around. We've had a pretty good run.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm buying that generosity. I think once you actually get into those shoes, you're fiercely competitive, and you're ready for a death battle. You want to win.
Yes,
I'm not buying it, man. Not buying it. Okay, to finish up, also, I believe you're not only busy writing and putting travel experiences together and trying to win a trophy named after yourself. That I thought about this. It's like the movie. Honey, we bought a zoo, but instead you didn't buy a zoo. You bought a golf course. So what's going on here?
There it is, Sullivan County Golf Club. So this is one of my other this I wouldn't call this a side hustle. This is pretty central. I'm working on a book. I'm editor of the Golfer's Journal, and but the next focus of my life is, aside from my family, is this wonderful golf course in the Catskills in New York, Sullivan County Golf Club. So this is the subject of my next book, a course called Home, which will be out in May, where we got involved in superintendent reached out to me and said, hey, this nearly 100-year-old golf course, it looks like it's going to close. It's in the Catskills, Dirty Dancing country, where all these big resorts once were, and they are no longer there. So the area's kind of struggled, and this golf course didn't look like it was going to make it. So I had a book deal but no subject, and thought, well, what if it was like we bought a zoo? And I got involved in operating a course. So I ran it for a year, kind of borrowed the course. Then I put together a team of folks to buy it with me. And it's been and we just had our 100-year. We have made it to 100 years. We had our 100-year celebration last week, where two of the so some of the owners, like Bill Murray and Jason Kelsey, they came and we just had a big bash and party to celebrate with the superintendent, Sean Smith, who started this whole thing, where we've gotten to, and we're in a good place, and we are very visitor friendly. We're a 9-hole beautiful mountainside golf course. So if you ever find yourself in New York, please come and see us. It's a special little fun, relaxed, really cool vibe, and we'd love to have you join as a non-resident member, anyone, or come play our course.
Well, I grew up in Toronto, so I do head back there quite a bit. So who knows? Maybe if you're there, the planets align. Perhaps
we have a few Canadian. We have a good Canadian member contingent. So we'd love for you to visit.
Love this. Well, you answered my final question here when you segued so nicely into owning a golf course. Now you're writing about that experience here, so I don't need to ask that question. So why don't we just finish it up here, Tom? So why don't you let people know if now they're thinking, hey, we want to book a golf trip in Ireland, maybe Scotland, maybe the US, and they want to do it through Coyne Golf. How can they go about doing that?
Yeah, just find us in coynegolf.com or tomcoyne.com, or follow us at Coyne Golf or at Coyne Writer on any of the social medias. And we're easy to get in touch with, and we'd love to help folks out and see if they can create one of their a great golf adventure for themselves.
Amazing. So as I said at the top of the show, I really encourage you as a viewer to become a listener, because the conversation Tom and I had on the extended audio podcast was amazing. I had so much fun on that. So yeah, you can be a viewer and a listener. It's not one or the other. We're just like improv comedy here. It's yes and, not no but. So that's the way we're going to stick with this. Let's finish up there. Mr. Tom Coyne, thank you for joining me twice here today on ModGolf. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Colin.